letters from a prison cell, and a promise I believed in. When Elijah was arrested, everyone told me to leave him. You're 26, Amelia. You have a future. Don't waste it on a man in prison. But I didn't listen. Because love doesn't ask for permission. It just roots itself deep and stays there even when everything else falls apart. Elijah and I had been together for 2 years. He wasn't perfect, far from it. But he had a laugh that made you forget pain existed and eyes that looked at me like I was the only girl in the universe. He messed up. A fight, a bad night. He hurt someone, got sentenced to 5 years. And just like that, our world shattered. But I stayed. I visited every weekend. I waited in long lines, wore uncomfortable clothes, and swallowed tears every time that metal door slammed shut between us. I sent him books, wrote letters every single week. He always wrote back. Pages and pages filled with, "I don't deserve you, but I'll make it right. When I get out, I'm going to marry you. You're the only good thing in my life." I believed him, even when I had to work 2 jobs. Even when I lost friends who didn't understand. Even when my own parents started to look at me like I was crazy. "You're wasting your life on a jailbird." I didn't care, because I wasn't just fighting for Elijah. I was fighting for the love we built before the bars, for the promises we whispered through glass. And you know who stood by me the whole time? My sister, Lena. 2 years younger, funny, vibrant, a little reckless. But she'd always been my best friend. She helped me put together care packages, drove me to the prison when I was too exhausted to stay awake, even helped me hide the worst days from Mom and Dad. "You're a warrior, Ames," she'd say. "If he doesn't marry you the second he gets out, I will." We used to laugh about it. God, if I only knew. Elijah was released on a warm June morning. I stood outside the gates with my heart beating in my throat, holding flowers, wearing the dress he once said made me look like a walking dream. When he walked out, my knees nearly gave out. He looked older, thinner, but when our eyes met, he smiled that same crooked smile I fell for. He hugged me, held me tight, and whispered, "You waited for me." I nodded, trying not to cry. Of course I did. That week was a blur. I took time off work, helped him adjust, got him a phone, groceries, helped him look for jobs. Lena came over a lot to help. Too much, maybe, but I didn't think anything of it. Until 3 weeks later, when he stopped answering my calls. I panicked, drove to his place. His car was gone. His room was empty. No note, no call, no nothing. Just gone. Then came the message. From Lena. A single line. "We need to talk." The truth in her eyes, and the ring on her finger. We met at the cafe on 4th Street. The one Lena and I used to go to every Sunday. We shared secrets there. Laughs, plans for the future. Today, it felt like a graveyard. She was already sitting when I walked in, stirring a cup of coffee like it was the most normal day in the world. I sat down across from her, heart racing. "Where's Elijah?" She looked up slowly, and then I saw it. The ring. Silver, thin band, diamond in the center. My ring. The one Elijah and I had picked out 2 years before his sentence. The one he told me he would buy when he got out. I felt like I'd been punched. "Is that what I think it is?" I asked, voice tight. She didn't flinch, didn't hide her hand. She just said it. "We're married." The world tilted. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. "You, what?" "We got married 2 days ago," she said calmly, "at the courthouse." My ears buzzed. I couldn't hear anything except the thundering in my chest. How long? How long what? How long have you two been seeing each other?" She blinked. Then, like she was doing me a favor, she said it. "A little over a year." A year. A year. While I was writing letters, sending money, visiting him, defending him, she was sneaking behind my back. "You helped me write to him," I whispered. "You drove me to the prison. You told me he was lucky to have me." She shrugged. "He changed in there. Said he couldn't stop thinking about me. That he realized it was always me, not you." I choked on my breath. "Always you?" "Lena, I loved him through his worst. I fought for him when everyone else turned their backs. I waited for him like a damn fool. And you just took him the second he looked your way?" Her expression hardened. "You always think everything belongs to you. Your grades, your jobs, your perfect image. Maybe this time something was meant for me." I stared at her, speechless. This wasn't my sister. Not the one I grew up with. Not the one who stayed up late sharing secrets. Not the one who promised she'd protect me. This was someone else, someone I didn't recognize. "Did Mom and Dad know?" She looked away. "They do now." That was it. I stood up. Tears blurred my vision, but I didn't let them fall. Not there, not in front of her. Before I left, I turned back. "You didn't just steal a man, Lena. You destroyed your sister. You turned love into a weapon. I hope he's worth every single scar you've left on me. I walked out. The sky felt too blue, the breeze too soft. Everything looked the same, but nothing would ever be the same again. That night, I went home, sat on the floor of my apartment, and I let it all out. Years of loyalty. Letters, phone calls, late night cries. I ripped them up one by one, not because I wanted to forget, but because I deserved to start over. The wedding photos went viral, and so did my pain. 3 days after that cafe meeting, I thought I was ready for anything. But I wasn't ready for this. I opened Instagram that morning like any other day. Half asleep, coffee in hand. And there it was. Front and center, her post. He waited 5 years for her. True love wins in the end. Forever ours and. How did he here? From Bartavos died he chose me. A carousel of wedding photos. Her in white. Him in a tailored navy suit. Laughing. Dancing. Kissing her hand in front of the courthouse. And the worst one? The caption under the third photo. Sometimes the right person was in front of you all along. Even if she was your sister. I dropped my phone. Sat there on my kitchen floor, stunned. Not because they got married, I already knew that. But because they turned my pain into their fairy tale. Because they posted it like I was never part of the story. Like I never existed. And then, the comments started. I didn't even know people knew. But they did. Mutual friends. Former coworkers, even people I didn't remember meeting. Wait, isn't that her sister's ex? Didn't he go to prison? This is wild. OMG, poor Amelia. She literally waited for him. This is messy AF. Love wins? More like loyalty dies. The post blew up overnight. Lena had made her profile public, probably on purpose. The algorithm did the rest. Thousands of shares, thousands of comments, thousands of people watching a family betrayal unfold in real time. At first, I wanted to hide. I turned off my phone, pulled the blinds, didn't answer the door. But the shame wasn't mine. And slowly, I began to realize that. 2 days later, I wrote something. Just a few sentences. Simple. Honest. I posted it at midnight. I was the woman who visited him every week for 5 years, who answered his calls from a cold cell, who defended his name when no one else would. I was the one who believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. And now? He married my sister. So no, love didn't win, but truth did. I didn't expect anything. But by morning, it had over 10,000 shares. People flooded in, not to pity me, but to tell me, you're not alone. This happened to my best friend. I was her, and I survived. Thank you for saying what I was too afraid to say. I cried reading every message. Not because I was still heartbroken, but because I realized I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't crazy, I wasn't too emotional, I wasn't dramatic. I was betrayed, and people saw it. They believed me. That same day, Lena texted, "Why would you air our dirty laundry like that?" I didn't reply, because the world needed to hear my truth, not her curated version. Not the one with filters and hashtags and fake happily ever afters. Later that week, I was invited to speak on a podcast about betrayal and resilience. Then an interview for a women's digital magazine. Then a feature in a blog that reached over 1 million readers. And slowly, pain became power. Not because I wanted attention, but because my story became more than just a tragedy. It became a warning, a lesson, a light for others still stuck in the dark. I still had bad days. Still woke up wondering how everything I built crumbled so quickly. But every time I doubted myself, I remembered, I didn't lose, I was set free. And I'm not done rising yet. He messaged me at 2 a.m. and said he made a mistake. It had been 2 months since I posted my story, since the world found out, since Lena stopped speaking to me, since Elijah married her in a cheap courthouse wedding and acted like it was some grand love story. I was healing, quietly. One breath, one step, one sunrise at a time. Then it happened. 2:13 a.m. My phone buzzed. Elijah. First time in weeks. The name made my stomach twist. I should have deleted his contact, but something in me wanted to remember. Not for hope, but for closure. I opened the message. I messed up. 3 words. 3 syllables. And suddenly I was wide awake. I stared at the screen. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't even breaking. It was quiet. 10 minutes later, another message. I should have picked you. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Because the man who once sat behind prison bars and promised to marry me when he got out was now trapped in a prison of his own making. But he wasn't done. He called. I watched the phone ring. His name flashed like a warning sign, but curiosity won. I picked up. Hello? He sighed as if my voice hurt. Ames, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I said nothing. I messed everything up. Lena and I, it's not what I thought it would be. She's different. It's like I don't even know her. I bit my tongue because the irony was choking me. He didn't know her? She was my sister. I knew exactly who she was. You picked her, I said finally. I know, and I was wrong. You married her. Because I thought she understood me better. She was fun. She said all the right things, but now it's cold. She doesn't even look at me the way you did. That sentence stopped me. I didn't look at you with blind love, Elijah. I looked at you with hope, with belief, with the kind of forgiveness you never earned. He was silent. Why are you calling me? He hesitated. And then the truth came out. Because I don't have anyone left. And just like that, I saw it all. This wasn't about regret, not real regret. It was about loneliness, consequences, regret for being uncomfortable, not for being cruel. I stayed for you when no one else did, I said quietly. I wrote letters, I paid bills. I turned my life into a waiting room for your freedom. And you walked out of that prison straight into my sister's arms. I know, E? No, you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't be here at 2 a.m., hoping I'll still be the same girl who answered your collect calls. He didn't reply, because there was nothing left to say. This time, I said, you don't get forgiveness, you get silence. And then I hung up, blocked the number, and let the night be quiet again. The next morning, I woke up with peace I hadn't felt in years. No tears, no regret, just clarity. Because healing doesn't always come with apologies. Sometimes it comes when you realize the apology doesn't even matter anymore. My sister found out I knew, and she couldn't handle it. It happened on a Sunday. I had just returned from the farmer's market, arms full of oranges and sunflowers, when my phone buzzed. Lena. I hadn't seen her name pop up since the wedding post went viral. I stared at the screen. 10 missed calls. 3 voice messages. 1 text. You had no right to talk to him. I laughed. Out loud. No right? To answer a call I didn't ask for? From a man who betrayed me? Whose vows still echoed with my name? I ignored her. But she didn't stop. The next day, she showed up. At my door, eyes wild, hair messy, still in her robe. You think this is funny? She spat the moment I opened the door. Excuse me? You talked to him. He told me you answered his message. Yes, I said calmly. He texted me at 2 a.m. I responded by blocking him. Don't lie. I stepped out, shut the door behind me. What exactly are you afraid of, Lena, that I'll steal him back, that he still wants me? She flinched. You don't know what it's been like. No, but I know what it was like waiting for 5 years while you played the supportive sister. Her eyes watered. For the first time, I saw it. Guilt, cracks, fear. He doesn't look at me like he looked at you, she said suddenly. He doesn't laugh the same. He's distant, like he's still chasing a ghost. I didn't respond. Because what could I say? She was right. He said marrying me would fix it, that we'd prove everyone wrong. But he still dreams about you. And there it was. The prison wasn't iron bars. It was a marriage built on betrayal. What do you want from me, Lena? She looked desperate. I want you to make it stop. Make what stop? The posts, the people calling us out, the stories, the judgment. I crossed my arms. I didn't create this storm, you did. By stealing someone else's life and trying to wear it like it was yours. She wiped her tears, then tried to pull herself together. You always thought you were better than me. No, I whispered. I thought you were my sister. That silenced her. The weight of that one sentence seemed to knock the air from her lungs. She turned to leave, and just before walking down the steps, she turned back. He's going to ruin me. Then maybe you two were perfect for each other, I said softly. I closed the door, and this time I didn't cry. Because I wasn't mourning what I'd lost. I was protecting what I'd rebuilt. Later that evening, I received a DM from someone I didn't expect. Elijah's ex from before me. I saw your story. Just wanted you to know. He did the same thing to me. Prison or not, he's always been chasing the next person who gives him attention. That night, I stared at myself in the mirror. Eyes clear, no anger, just truth. I wasn't the only one, but I was the one who got out. And that made all the difference. He showed up at my book event and tried to apologize publicly. It started with a story. My story. The one that hurt me, the one that healed me, the one that was now being published as a memoir. After the bars, loving someone who left me behind. I never planned to become a writer, but the pain needed somewhere to go. And eventually, that somewhere became a book. One that people began to talk about, share, connect with. So when a small bookstore in Brooklyn invited me to do a live Q&A and signing, I said yes, not because I wanted attention, but because I wanted other women to know they weren't alone. The night was soft. Golden lights strung across shelves. Dozens of readers, women mostly, filled the room. Some held copies of the book with sticky notes and underlined paragraphs. Some just wanted to hug me. It was overwhelming, beautiful, safe, until he walked in. Elijah, wearing a dark jacket, hair combed back, hands in pockets. I saw him instantly. So did the room. Whispers started. Eyes darted. I froze mid-sentence. He waited until I finished answering a question, then stepped forward. The crowd parted like water around a wound. He stood before me. No podium, no mic, just a man and the woman he broke. I need to say something, he said. I wanted to stop him, but something in me said, let him. Let them all hear it. So I nodded. He took a breath. I hurt the woman who stood by me when I had nothing. She wrote letters when everyone forgot I existed. She brought me food, clothes, hope. And when I got out, I threw it all away for something I thought was better. For comfort, for ego. He paused. I married her sister, and it was the biggest mistake of my life. Gasps from the crowd. Chairs creaked. Phones started recording. But I stayed still, expression blank, because this wasn't courage, it was performance. He looked at me. Amelia, I'm sorry. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I wanted the world to know it. You were always the one. Silence. All eyes turned to me, waiting. But I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I stood, lifted the mic, and spoke clearly. Thank you, Elijah, for confirming what I already knew. That I loved the wrong person. That I gave too much to someone who didn't understand loyalty. And that pain, when spoken, becomes power. I looked at the audience. He's right. I stood by him when no one else did. And when he got out, he betrayed not just me, but the part of me that believed in second chances. I turned back to Elijah. But here's what you still don't get. This story isn't yours, it's mine. You were a chapter, but I am the author. The room erupted in applause. Women stood up. Some were crying. Some were smiling through tears. But all of them were witnessing something rare. A woman taking back her voice, her truth, her dignity. Elijah stood there, unsure, exposed. He nodded once and walked out, this time for good. Later that night, I signed the last copy of the book. A young girl hugged me and whispered, "He tried to bury you, but you grew roots instead." I smiled, because now I knew love didn't fail me. He did. And I rose anyway. She left him too, and came to me with regret I hadn't heard from Lena in over a month. Not since the night Elijah showed up at my book event. Not since his so-called apology went viral. Not since he quietly packed his things and disappeared again. I figured she'd moved on. Or maybe like him, she realized love built on betrayal can't survive long in daylight. Then one rainy Thursday morning, I opened my apartment door, and there she was, soaked, mascara smudged, hair tied in a messy knot, no umbrella, no jacket, just her and a trembling voice. He left. I didn't say anything. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, eyes darting like a child who knows she doesn't belong. I handed her a towel. She dried her face, then sat on the edge of the couch. For a long time, we just listened to the rain. Then finally she spoke. He said he needed space, packed a bag last week, said he couldn't breathe, said he felt trapped. She gave a hollow laugh. Funny, right? You gave him freedom, and he said I made him feel caged. I stayed silent, because what could I say? I'd already lived that chapter. She just chose to skip it. People at work started whispering. She continued. About your book, about us. I tried to play the victim, said we just fell in love and that you exaggerated. But the truth has a way of echoing, doesn't it? She looked at me. They looked at me like I was everything I never wanted to be. She paused. And maybe I was. My chest ached. Not out of sympathy, but because she finally saw what I had to feel alone for so long. She pulled something from her bag. A letter. Wrinkled. Handwritten. This was the letter you sent him 3 weeks before he got out. The one where you told him you already forgave him for everything. That you were ready to build again. He never opened it. She slid it across the table. I stared at my own handwriting. The hope in that envelope felt like a stranger now. I read it, Lena said softly. And for the first time, I felt ashamed. I finally looked up. Why are you here, Lena? Her eyes filled with tears. Because I don't know who I am anymore. Because I thought I won. But instead, I lost you. And I lost me. Silence. Just the rain. And the space between us. I'm not asking for you to forgive me. She whispered. I wouldn't. But I just needed you to know. I remember who you were before all this. And I miss her. I stood up, walked to the window, watched cars blur past below. Then I turned to her. She's still here, but she's different now. Stronger, quieter, more careful. She nodded slowly. I get it. She stood, took a deep breath. I won't bother you again, but thank you for letting me say it. Before she reached the door, I called out, Lena. She turned. I didn't smile, but I said one thing. The only thing I had left to give. I hope you heal too. She cried silently and left. No hug, no dramatic reconciliation, just the sound of a door closing gently behind her. And it was enough, because this wasn't about revenge. It was about release. That night, I lit a candle, opened that old letter. I didn't cry. I didn't burn it. I simply folded it again, placed it back in the envelope, and wrote one word on the front. Closure. My story reached one woman who needed it most and changed her life. The bookstore had just closed. It had been a quiet evening. A few signings, a couple of hugs from strangers, and soft music playing in the background. I was packing up the last copies of my book when the owner approached me. There's someone outside asking to speak with you, she said. She's been standing in the rain. I hesitated. Did she give a name? No, just said your book saved her. I stepped outside. The sky was weeping again, like it often does when something important is about to begin. And there she was, late 20s, maybe early 30s, clutching my book to her chest like it was oxygen. Eyes swollen, lips trembling. She saw me and froze, then slowly stepped forward. I'm sorry, I know this is strange. It's okay, I said softly. What's your name? Kayla. She took a shaky breath. I was going to leave tonight. My heart stopped. She clutched the book tighter. Not leave town, I mean, leave everything. She looked down. I packed a bag, left my baby with my mom, drove to a motel, wrote a note. Tears filled her eyes. He left me. After 7 years, for my best friend. Said she made him feel young again. Said I was too much after I had our son. She let out a bitter laugh. I thought I was crazy, that maybe it really was my fault. Then I saw your interview online. Then I bought your book. She stepped closer, voice cracking. And for the first time, I didn't feel insane. I felt seen. You wrote every thought I couldn't say out loud. I didn't speak. I just listened. Because sometimes silence is more sacred than advice. And this line? She opened the book, flipping to a folded page. Pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But surviving it makes you powerful. She looked at me, crying. That sentence stopped me. From doing something I'd never come back from. I reached out and held her hand. It was cold, but real, alive. You saved yourself, Kayla. My story just reminded you that you could. She nodded, sobbing. I don't know how to start over. You already did when you chose life. When you walked through that door, we sat on the bookstore steps, in the rain, like two strangers bound by a wound the world doesn't see. And we just existed. Together. In a rare, raw kind of honesty. She left that night with a signed copy of the book and my personal number written in the back. For the days it feels too heavy, I told her. Call me. You don't have to carry it alone. As I watched her drive off, I felt something settle inside me. Peace. Because all the heartbreak, all the betrayal, all the scars, they weren't wasted. They were transformed. My pain had grown roots. And now, it was bearing fruit. In the form of another woman who wouldn't have to fall as far as Ida did. Because someone had already built a ladder back up. That night, I wrote the final words in my journal. He left. She betrayed. But I stayed. I rose. I wrote. And because of that, another woman lived. The story didn't end in betrayal. It ended in legacy. Some people leave scars, others leave lessons. Burn and reborn stories that break you, then rebuild you.